Okay, so today we're going to change the oil. So here are some things that you might need. You might need paper towels or something to catch the oil, the mess, an oil filter, and you can find out which one it is for your specific vehicle, a socket wrench to get the plug out of the oil drain. I like to have some eye protection, some sort of gloves. I use a mask. And then you'll need new oil, the oil that's recommended for your vehicle, and something to put your oiled oil into when you're done, and then a drain pan for your oil to drain into. And one other thing is I like to have something to go underneath, just because you're just gonna be getting under there. So those are some things that you might need to start out with. So now the next step is to open up the hood and find where your engine is, where the oil is going to go into the engine. And mine has a little sign on it. It has an oil sign and what kind of oil it is. And I just unscrew it, and I'm gonna put it right here in this little spot for now so that the oil can drain out. Okay, so it's a good idea to look and find your drain pan and see about what size of bolt that you'll need to get out. For my vehicle, I'm using a socket wrench, so this is how I can get in there and turn, but you're gonna have to look at your vehicle and see what you will need. So a socket wrench more than likely will work. And this is a 1/2 inch from mine. So here is my oil pan of the vehicle, and this is the oil plug. This is the plug that goes into it. And so we're gonna loosen this, and when it begins to come out, we're going to take it out, and then we're going to make sure that we have something, a pan underneath to catch the oil. All right, so let's try it here. So I'm putting, let's see, there we go. I'm sorry. It's not really, maybe you're right, maybe it's not that tight. So I'm gonna try to catch it. All right, so then you're just gonna let that drain out. So you can bring your nut out and step out while it drains. Okay, so I'm now gonna take off the old oil filter, and depending on your vehicle and different variables, you might need a tool to get this off, but most of the time I just unscrew it with my hand. And there's going to be some old oil that comes out, so I'm going to move my oil pan, which is finished draining from the oil, and I'm going to bring it underneath where the oil filter is. And then all I'm going to do is, this is why it's great to have gloves. And I'm gonna pour out the old oil and let that drain. This doesn't take too long to let it drain. Okay. So now I'm gonna grab my new oil filter. I'm gonna take it out of the box, and we're gonna put it in. My new oil filter, and most of the oil has drained off out of my old oil filter, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of this oil that's around this edge, and I'm just gonna put it on the inside and around the outside, just to have a nice seal with the oil, make sure that everything is lubricated, and then I'm going to put it on and thread it in. And I have it on pretty tight, but not too tight where I can't unscrew it next time. That's important.
Rolling.
So I'm gonna take the bolt that goes into the oil pan and I'm gonna screw it back in now.
Yes.
All right, so now we're gonna take the bolt and put it back into the oil pan. With the socket wrench. And it should be pretty tight. And now we're ready to put the oil in. Alright, so now that we've finished putting the new oil filter in and putting the drain plug back in, now we're ready to put in the oil. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my funnel and I'm gonna put it inside where the oil goes, and then I'm gonna pour some oil in. So it's gonna depend how, every engine is gonna have a different recommendation for how much oil to put in, so check your owner's manual to see how much. Okay, so before we put the oil in, let's just clean off the dipstick. So here is my dipstick. I'm gonna pull it out, have something to clean it off with, and clean it off. So now it's nice and clean, and then I'll put it back in. Okay, so this is the oil that's recommended for my vehicle, 5W20. Check to see what kind of oil is recommended in your owner's manual. And I have high mileage, so I get high mileage. So I'm gonna take it off, open it up, and I'm gonna gently start pouring it in. And so we're trying to be gentle here. If it's really full, it might be a little bit more challenging, but just try to allow for the flow to go and try not to allow it to spill over the edges of the funnel. Okay, and once I get a good amount in, then I can check the dipstick again. I've checked the dipstick and I can see that it's about 2/3 full. So we don't want to overfill it, but we want it to try to get closer to full. So I'm going to pour a little bit more in now. And me, I just like to do a little bit of a count. So like 2, 3, 4. That's just how I do it. So now I'm going to check the dipstick again. And when we check the dipstick, making sure to clean off the remnants before putting it back in to check it. So it's about full now. So now all we have to do is put the cap back on. And then we can take the old oil and pour it into our receptacle. So now I have an empty receptacle, and preferably something with a lid, because I can take this old oil and take it back to the auto parts store and they'll take it. So an empty receptacle, a funnel to pour in the oil, and then slowly and gently pouring the oil in. Can be kind of messy, so it's nice to have something underneath to catch any of the drips. And it's nice to go really slow with this because it can get everywhere if you don't. Okay, so you want to label your used oil, especially if you're putting it into one of the same oil bins, just so that you know for your purposes which is used and which is new. So that's how you change your oil. Thanks for watching.